on dial-up.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker. This is WPwatercooler, episode number 166. Today's topic is podcasting with WordPress. Let's go around the room real quick and get everyone introduced. Brian, tell us about yourself.
Awesome. I am Brian Hogg. I am a WordPress developer and consultant, and I'm currently running a couple podcasts. Well, actually, one's just archived, but one about the city of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and one about electronic music and getting paid for it.
Tell us a bit.
What?
How about you, Chase?
Hey, I'm Chase Livingston. I'm a happiness engineer by day at Automatic, working on Jetpack. But I'm a weekly guest on a podcast called Support Ops. We talk about the world of customer support from a few different viewpoints and that kind of thing. So that's sort of my in podcasting.
Very nice. Chris, what about you?
My name's Chris Lemma. I blog over at chrislemma.com and run the North County San Diego WordPress Meetup. And I have just finished off 10 episodes of a new podcast that I'm doing with my friend Steve Zengit called Business Tracks, with also our friend Wes Churchill, which is getting ready to launch soon. And I got a couple other things in the works.
That was going to be a book, I thought.
And now it's a podcast.
Now it's a podcast.
Okay. I've been waiting for that book.
How about you, George?
I am George Savanas. I work for Automatic on Jetpack, and I like building shiny things.
Man, your job title just keeps jumping around, doesn't it?
It's true. My business part's actually Sage and Monkey on them.
Awesome. What about you, Russ?
My name is Russ. I run the Vegas WordPress Meetup. Everything, all the things in Vegas. I'm still in Say's line for a minute. I've been on a few podcasts. I've been on this podcast, I guess you call it a podcast, 25 times. Excited.
Awesome. Say, what about you?
Hey, what's up? I'm sorry, cracking myself up. Okay. My name's Say Reed, and I build WordPress, make WordPress, teach WordPress. I at Say Reed Media and all the things, and I've been on this podcast that we are on right now, or this cast of some sort, since day uno. And I don't know how many episodes that is, because I just turn it on and show up, so I don't count. Who counts? Whatever. 3 years. Anyway.
Steve, what about you?
I am Steve Zengin. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress Meetup. And I've been on this podcast, I think, since day one. And I'm just finished the other podcast with Chris. And yep.
Awesome.
I've been on the Dreadcast.
You have been on the Dreadcast. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me, Jason Tucker, on Twitter. I blog over at wpmedia.pro and jasontucker.us. So let's talk a little bit about podcasting. So what we're doing right now is not podcasting. We are just streaming live to YouTube. Now what happens from there is that we turn it into an MP3 file, and then we put it onto the website, and then people download it through their podcatcher, and then they're able to watch it, or listen to it, rather. So podcasting, to me, is you're taking the file and putting it someplace, including it into an RSS feed, having the podcatcher download it, and then you're able to listen to it. That's a podcast.
Wait, there's a podcatcher?
Yes. What's
that?
that?
Pokemon?
There is a podcatcher. So a podcatcher is what most of the folks here that use Macs would call iTunes. And if you don't use iTunes and use something else, then that's a podcatcher.
I just want to keep saying podcatcher.
I want that to be the name of my band, Russ and the Podcatchers.
That's not a good band name, Press.
So around the room real quick, we kind of introduced ourselves and said that we do podcasting. How many of you do? I know, it's all right. So how many of you guys do podcasting using like WordPress as like the thing that's generating the RSS feed that all the people that are listening to your show are subscribed to?
I'm not, just because, if you get a lot of downloads and your whatever hosting is not prepared for it, then that could be a bad thing. Yeah. So using something like Libsyn where you're paying $5 a month, and if you get 1 million downloads, no big deal.
So just to clarify, so you have the file itself, which is referenced within the RSS feed. Then you have the RSS feed itself. So you're not using either one of them. You're hosting everything through Libsyn?
Through Libsyn, yeah. But I mean, it wouldn't be that. But I do link to the hosted Libsyn file within like Postmeta on,
Yeah, gotcha. So just to clarify real quick.
Hold on, guys. We just threw out Postmeta, and Libsyn. And if you don't know what these things
We're getting
are,
there.
and we were 10 seconds away from a podcatcher, can someone roll back and start from the beginning and do an A to B to C map of how this works?
Well,
Yeah.
according to Wikipedia,
Actually, I did.
I got nothing.
I actually walked through the whole thing. So you record an MP3 file. You take that MP3 file and you reference it in an RSS feed. And the way most people do it when they're referencing an RSS feed is they are putting it into the
Back up a
WordPress
bit.
post.
An RSS feed is a XML document that just lists links and content in it. So basically,
wait, what's XML?
So wait, according to Wikipedia, like, okay, they're not to get like all Steve or anything.
You don't want to get all Steve.
I don't
trust
want to
me.
get all Steve,
No.
but I do want to clarify something here, Jason.
Yes, ma'am. What's up?
According to Wikipedia, which, as we know, is the be-all, end-all of all sources of authority, it says all that a podcast is a form of digital media consisting of an episodic series of audio, video, digital radio, or anything really. So therefore, we are a podcast. What?
Episodic series sounds like
If that's the case, then TV is a podcast.
I have
Fair
episodic series as
I'm
well.
glad-
If that's the case, then your face is a podcast.
Yeah.
My face is a
I'm glad we
podcast.
solved that. Let's back up for a second. Jason, I
Yes.
know you keep talking about an RSS feed, but let's back up for a second.
Okay.
Someone
George.
records an audio file.
Yeah.
Where do they, don't talk about an RSS feed. Where do they upload the file?
Yeah. So
So
there's a few ways to do it.
I use a site. It's called Podbean, and you can upload your media file up to it, and it gives you a URL, and that's where all your listeners are going to listen to your file.
And Podbean is one.
Listeners to Podbean?
Podbean is one, but
Yep.
also Libsyn, Libsyn. Libsyn is another, right?
Which is liberated
Who
syndication.
names this stuff?
We use, I think we use like Amazon S3 to host our files for support ops, but we're, obviously just giving Blubrry and WordPress the link to that file, and then, users, the RSS feeds created, using our WordPress site.
So there's Blubrry, which is another one. And then the one that we use,
Wait,
the one
is
that we use is SoundCloud.
SoundCloud is another. Talk about Blubrry.
Yeah.
Blubrry.
So
Blubrry.
Blubrry takes care of all of the both the hosting of the file as well as the tracking of the downloads that happen of that file. And if you'd like, you can also use them as the RSS feed for like iTunes and whatnot.
But there is a pure WordPress way to do this, no? Yes?
Yep. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
upload the file to your website, but if you're using crappy hosting, it's going to suck.
Yep, and people don't like reading.
Dun.
So you have 4 different places where you can upload it. Then
And
you
1,000 more.
Yeah.
okay, at least 4 where you can upload it. Then you're going to take that and put that link into, say, either you're going to let that service create the RSS feed, or you're going to put it into your website and let your website generate the RSS feed, right? That's where the podcatcher comes in, because the podcatcher pays attention to the RSS feed.
And then, the podcatcher looks at the RSS feed. It looks for an enclosure within the RSS feed, which is the actual file that's going to be downloaded. And then it looks at the length of it, which is the actual file size of it, the duration of it, and then the URL in which it's being addressed. And then it downloads that file and then stores it on your podcatcher.
This sounds like some kind of old school text-based RPG game. The podcasters going room to room, finding all the episodes.
So
Zork.
Steve,
like Zork.
I hope you're taking notes, or our podcast will never go live.
I'm just gonna put it on TV. I mean,
What in the what are you people even?
I think it's actually cheaper to get a digital channel like 3.1. You probably could do that.
I think it's cheaper to get picked up by FX.
So how this all started is way back in the day. What would happen
You people
is
love each other very much.
So what would happen is someone would take the MP3 file and they would put it on their web host. Then they would make a file, which is the RSS file, and they would generate that RSS file by just typing in all of the XML. And then they put in the enclosure tag, they put in a bunch of iTunes tags that live on the top of that, and then they would tell iTunes, hey iTunes, here's the RSS feed. So then what iTunes would do is it would look at that RSS feed and see if anything has changed. And if something changed, it would then go and download that episode and make it available to everyone who's using iTunes to be able to download it and listen to it.
And here's a problem, because I contact Jason with this all the time for a couple of my clients, right? If there's any technical problem with that RSS feed, if there's any special characters that are not enclosed right, if there's any little bit, iTunes will not update.
Yep.
Was that what was happening with the water cooler when it wasn't updating properly to iTunes a couple bits back?
Yep, that's exactly it. So
even we can make mistakes, guys.
Well,
Well,
we're a
actually,
professional show. That didn't happen.
I'm saying this because sometimes my clients run into this. There might not be any problem with the feed, with the technology of the feed itself. It might just be a special character that somebody put in a title.
or it could be the person's name has an apostrophe, or a semicolon, or a who knows what.
Or a bracket. Bobby Tables.
iTunes.
I don't know who that would be.
Wants really simple names.
You know, I think that's discrimination. I really do. This whole regular characters thing is just a way to keep me in a box.
Well, I'm talking about an actual semicolon, like, or a you know, and anything like that. You know, that part of their name and that part of their business name or whatever. It totally can throw it out of whack.
Okay,
Folks,
so
if you're watching the show and you just realize that Apple is the only one that's been able to keep say in a box, send them a note and thank them.
Thanks, Apple.
So we went through a lot of confusing stuff in regards to trying to get this thing to show up in your WordPress, you know, on your WordPress site. But there are a couple plugins that are out there that will help you out with it.
Don't say we haven't even gotten to the point yet.
Don't say Blubrry.
So there's a plugin called Blubrry, and it's Blubrry's PowerPress plugin. There's also just wait up. So there's also a plugin called Podlove. And then there's one called Seriously Simple Podcasting.
Seriously simple.
And then there's a whole bunch of these ones that are made by the companies
it's spelled
that
just
do
like
the
the
hosting.
satellite
too.
company, Sirius. It's spelled just like them.
Is the Seriously Simple one the one by our friends from Moo Themes? Is it Hughes?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that's
no.
Hughes.
Is it?
Yeah, that's one by Hugh Lashbrook
Yeah.
and Jake Spurlock.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I know Hughes worked on that one. I know my buddy Pat Flynn has a player.
Plugin. Yeah.
Smart podcast player plugin.
I've got a review of that. Yeah.
That makes it look really clean on the page on your website. It will pull down all the feed, all the data from iTunes or from SoundCloud or from Libsyn or whatever. It'll pull it all down so that you get text for each episode. You can have a little player for just one episode, or you can have a player for the entire podcast.
But since it's just an MP3 file, you know, WordPress itself can do MP3, you know, display the MP3's player, you know, using the HTML5 or whatever, if you want to go that route too.
Yeah.
Just doing a quick comparison, I was looking at how often these plugins are updated. The Blubrry one, which I do not like, was updated 14 hours ago. So I guess they're on top of things.
What don't you like about it?
I've never liked the interface.
You're like allergic to blueberries? Or?
No.
Steve's scared because there's a lot of buttons and switches and knobs to press.
Yeah, we've never had any
It's
major
pretty
issues
dumb.
with it. I really like it at Support Ops, so I would recommend checking it out if you're interested.
Wow, so all the technical people said use it, and Steve just did a whole don't use the media player to upload photos. Steve just did his own with I don't like Blubrry. So there we go.
I'll tell you what.
We were joined by additional X chromosomes just now.
I don't do this often, so don't listen to my advice on this particular plugin. So I used it way back. I'll be happy to give it another chance.
There's something to be said for user interface and not having to fight your interface for each one. So, you know.
But again, I used it 2 years ago. It could have gone through an interface overhaul. I don't know. They updated it 14 hours ago.
Thanks for preparing for the episode, Steve.
I mean,
I don't talk about the show before the show.
Hey, is Carrie on the show? Can we hear her and see her?
I'm showing up fashionably late, and it's not just because my video doesn't work. I didn't actually have time to fix my hair.
Is it because your power's out? It looks like your power's out because the screen's all black.
Hey, Carrie, we're talking about plugins. We're talking about hosting of the MP3 files and stuff. What are you guys using over there?
Wait, can we first say this is Carrie Dils, and she is awesome on a lot of levels, but she also hosts a podcast about Genesis called Office Hours. There you go.
It's actually not just about Genesis anymore.
It's bigger than Genesis, yeah.
Carrie, you're bigger than Genesis.
Well, shoot, aren't we all, Say? aren't we all?
Carrie, could you pay your power bill?
You know, you know what? If Crowd Favorite would get those paychecks to me on time, I could probably get that.
Fire down there burning.
It's not a problem. She's totally right. Except we only pay when she checks her code in. So.
Which you can't do because she has no power.
So really, not having fixed hair is obviously not an example to not have your video, but whatevs.
Yeah.
So back to my question that relates to the topic at hand. What do you guys use over there, Carrie?
I am using SoundCloud to host the audio, and for starters, since it's a live podcast delivered via Google Hangout, the audio is, of course, first in a video format, and then I strip out the audio and upload it to SoundCloud, and that's where my RSS feed that kicks it over to iTunes.
Yep.
And
So you're using SoundCloud's RSS feed?
Yep.
I do that for one of my podcasts as well. The other one's on Libsyn, but yep.
So I think it's a great idea because you know that SoundCloud's going to be there. It's reliable. It's going to work. Its feed's going to work.
Me being the old man podcaster, I'm actually scared of that. I want to be able to own all my own stuff, and I want to be able to own through the RSS feed.
You're the old man podcaster?
I am. I've been doing this stuff for a long time now.
He's actually
podcast, back in the day.
Jason broadcasts from a Sony Walkman.
I actually would not be surprised if that were true.
If you guys don't know this, Jason Tucker was huge in the podcast space when podcast had its first run around. Then podcasts all kind of died, and then podcasts started coming back, and Jason brought us into the new realm again. If you don't know, because Jason hosts his show and for the most part stays pretty quiet, just controlling cameras and controlling the show behind the scenes and all the technology of it. This show itself shows up in all sorts of places where you can pull down the feeds and listen to it, watch the video, or just listen to the audio. All that happens behind the scenes because of Jason. You can read his stuff over at WPmedia.pro, but if you don't know Jason Tucker when it comes to podcasting stuff, you really do need to. It's Jason. Earlier Steve just mentioned that sometimes when we have questions, we go to Jason. Basically, all the questions we have relating to podcasting, we go to Jason because Jason knows everything. He has forgotten more than you will ever learn, and it is worth following up.
That's a T-shirt right there for you, Chris.
That T-shirt would be like ridiculous, like 12-point font. That'd be nuts.
What I just heard is that the rest of us should not even try and just go home because
honestly, the only reason you're having success, any of you, is because Jason decided not to step into your space. Just bless him and thank him and
so
move
use
on.
Blubrry. That's what I'm saying. No, just kidding.
So is that why you're wearing a blue hoodie?
Say again?
So that's the reason for the blue hoodie today.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jason, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You said that you take the video that's coming off of YouTube and you strip the audio out. What are you using to strip the audio out? Are you using something like Audacity, or are you letting iTunes do this? What are you doing to strip the audio out?
I use
the question goes to Carrie Dils too.
Yeah, I use the command line, and I use a tool called YouTube-DL, and that's what I use to do the downloading of the MP3 file. So it downloads an MP4 file, and then it converts that to an MP3, and then I put in the album art, the metadata for the MP3 file. I do all that stuff using that tool. And then I take all of I take like the first 5 minutes of our video and I chop it up into a bunch of PNG files, and I find, some funny photo that Say's doing, or Steve's doing, or Chris is doing. I take that and I use that as the album art, or rather the art for YouTube.
So I didn't think that you were really that old school of a podcaster, and then you just said you did everything from the command line. So
yeah, it's all
you just verified that for me.
Yeah, he wasn't kidding. Old man podcaster over here.
Yeah, I do it all for the.
He chisels RSS into tablets, people.
Carrie, what do you do over there?
You drive by his house and the RSS is written on the window like the Facebook algorithm.
Carrie,
not opening RSS.
How do you strip your audio?
Audacity.
Yeah.
Audition works too. You just drag and drop a video file and boom, audio.
Yeah, I don't edit any of this stuff. Whatever goes up on YouTube is what's going to go up in as the podcast.
You had like an intro outro at all, or no?
Nope, no intro outro. I just do everything live.
We're enough of an intro.
We're doing it live.
Let's talk about that, because some people do a podcast that's a little more complicated than that. So they have an intro, they have an outro, they may even do a intro that is them talking about this particular episode, which is a unique intro, followed by or preceded by a bumper that is the general show clip. And so, any of you guys do something like that?
I have friends that do that.
Yeah, I know people too. But Brian, why don't you tell us a little about your process?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I use Audition, Adobe, so I just subscribe to that, and yeah, I've got the pre-music. I've got little pre-recorded. I actually hired a British voice for my one podcast, so I sound cooler. Slap that onto the beginning. Slap on an outro. Job done. But there are services that can do it as well, or you could hire Jason. It sounds like to do all this for you.
So do you talk in a British accent on your podcast?
No, I wish.
Is that why you have the intro?
I wish. I'm half British, but I can't do it.
The intro just teases people, and then he's back to his accent.
And it's like, oh, this is disappointing.
Well, no, he just said that he uses a British voice to sound smarter. So I was going to say, if you're talking in a British voice and you have somebody in a British voice verify it for you, you sound smarter.
Exactly.
But you can hire for this. Steve, didn't we, for Business Tracks, didn't we hire someone to do the voiceover for the intro?
Right off of Fiverr.
Yep, Fiverr as well.
He was great, actually. He was fantastic.
If you have never used Fiverr for this kind of thing, it was amazing and it was fast, right? We wrote a little script. He recorded it.
He turned it around in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Wow. He just recorded on his phone, right, and just shot it over you.
It's like he was just sitting there waiting for the script to come in, and then boom, it was done.
It's just a guy banging on a cowbell.
Well, yeah, our
whole script
wasn't very complicated.
How much did you pay?
$5
or
$1.
I think
$5 or so.
Well, because sometimes with Fiverr, like
I take it back.
You get a $5 and you get a $10 upgrade,
I think there was a $5 upgrade because we were using it in some other way that we needed a license for.
Commercial, yeah.
Yeah, it was commercial. So I paid $10.
It was a $5 commercial.
Yeah, you are a really
ridiculous.
baller.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you haven't looked at what you can get on Fiverr for this kind of stuff, where you're writing the script but someone else is just doing the voiceover, or someone's creating a musical jingle to go in the background. Also, of course, the Envato marketplace has tons of audios. But I'll give you a little tip, inside scoop that you don't know. Steve's son also creates ridiculous beats. And if you want to go directly to him, contact Steve. He's at Zengi. He'll connect you up with his son. His son creates a ridiculous amount of awesome background music. And if you want to hook up with him, you can get that. You can get that background track for either your bumper or for your whole podcast. You will thank me later.
Oh, that'd be awesome if we had a background track to this whole thing.
I don't think
for business. Yeah, Steve put the minions to work.
I don't think Steve actually has kids. I think it's Steve pretending to be his own kid, so he can just do this at night. He just makes his own music.
I've met his kid.
Yeah,
and his kid obviously got the genetics of music from someone other than Steve and his line.
I think you get the genetics of everything from somebody else but me.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Otherwise, yeah, you can use something like Premium Beat.
So, amongst those that actually do their own podcasts, do you do some sort of post-editing to, like, sneak out the little ums and the ahs and the awkward pauses?
I used to do that
Not
back
anymore.
in the day. It's annoying.
Nobody got time for that.
We used to, but then we decided we just don't care anymore.
It's really hard when you're sitting there and you're trying to like snip this 3 seconds and then piece it together, and then like you can really tell when somebody did like a hack job of editing.
Yeah.
Because they'll be
you get the
talking.
little clippy noise? Oh,
So it'll be like, we went to the zoo! Like, you can really tell like, that editing is just horrible.
The more people you have on the show, the more difficult it gets too. So I can't imagine trying to do it on a show like this.
And there's actually people that you can hire to take care of the audio editing as well if you wanted to go that route. You'd definitely be paying more than $5 per whatever, but it's definitely something that can be done.
Yeah, Podcast Motor is like several hundred. And I think they do like 4 a week or something. But yep.
As we get close to wrapping up the show, I will make one huge recommendation. I've made the same recommendation to all my friends who do podcasts, and that is get yourself a good microphone. The quality, we all like video, we shoot video, we see the video, all that kind of good stuff, but at the end of the day, what makes the whether it's a video cast or a audio cast, what makes it work is the audio, and there is not a lot you can do if your microphone sucks.
Yep. But you don't need to go crazy, right?
So what? And one thing I will say about the Business Tracks podcast is, I mean, we do this on Google Hangout, and in general it works, but we did have some technical difficulties.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you could record it as a double ender.
Oh, no.
What?
That's a good band name right there, Double Ender.
That is a good band name, right?
Hey, we only got a couple minutes. Let me explain what a double ender is.
What's a double ender?
If you want to, like, you know, if you want to kind of up your game a little bit, doing a double ender or a multi-ender, depending on how many people you have on there, what you end up doing is you use your computer to do the conversation between you and other people, and then you record locally, and everyone records locally on their own computers. Then what you do is you take that file and you upload it to, like, you know, Dropbox or whatever, and then have your editor take those, put it in a multi-track editor, and then edit out all of the stuff that happens within it and get them all lined up. Now, to do that, you want to kind of go old school and do the whole, like, have one person clap and make it so that everyone's able to hear it, so that way you have it all synced up, and then after that you can edit it and then have a really clean copy of that particular audio.
Yes.
Steve and I are in sync. What can I say?
But I like saying double ender because it totally freaks Steve out. And
because
it's awesome.
Because there's all kinds of innuendo and double entendre going on there.
But that's the way most, like, larger podcast shops do when they have multi locations, is they'll do a double ender.
Yeah, and you can do Rode or the Ecamm call recorder with Skype. It'll actually record on separate channels, so then you can blot out if one person's typing or whatever.
But the only thing about that is it's compressing the audio as it goes over the internet, and you want to have the cleanest copy of your audio if you're worried about that. So, like, for us, we have this bed of going on here, and if you don't want that, this is a good way of kind of cleaning that up.
Yep.
A lot of extra work though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't got time for that.
Yeah, you can also get a good feeling of, I mean, sometimes you listen to a podcast and one person's audio is very rich and deep, and you can really get appreciation of their voice, and then the other person who they're just going back and forth is coming across very little tinny and quiet, and you can't quite make it out nearly as smooth. So having some sort of a parity in the quality of the microphones that different folks are using is something that can help the end product.
Is it ironic that your microphone, like, went quiet?
I was noticing the same thing. Cutting out. Yeah.
One last tip regarding using Google Hangout for doing this type of thing is if you go up to the top within Google Hangout and go to settings, you can actually turn on I think they call it studio mode, and what it does is it makes the audio be in more HD quality, and then you're able to be able to have that type of setup happen where the audio being broadcast on both ends will be of a higher quality, so it'll sound really good.
Cool.
Nice. Don't do that when you have 10 people on the show and you're all trying to, make that happen, because the amount of bandwidth that's being used for this right now is pretty crazy. That's about it.
Double Ender. Can we name the episode Double Ender?
No.
According to Adam Silver, doubleender.com is for sale for only $2,400.
Yeah, but the thing is that nothing good's coming up when I Google that. So.
Yep. Folks, that's about it for today.
Not say to Google it.
All messed up. What can I say?
Folks, don't Google that.
No, don't do that. That's it for today, folks. Make sure you go to our website at WPwatercooler.com. Click on the links there. If you want to subscribe to us in iTunes and not watch us but just listen to us, you can do that as well. And if you like, you can subscribe to our mailing list over there and be able to get notified when we have new episodes come out. Thank you very much for being on the show, everyone. You guys have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.